what? If we assume that everything Sarah Maslin said is true, my client is the quintessential sexist son of a bitch. He not only took advantage of Miss Maslin, he demeaned her. He humiliated her. He destroyed her dignity. As a woman, I'd like to go over there and smack him in the head. But as an officer of the court, all I can do is say, so what? Sarah Maslin was ambitious. She wanted to get ahead, and she got what she wanted by her own choice. She alone determined her fate. Sure, she may be emotionally distraught, but under the law, you hurt someone's feelings, you take out your checkbook. You do not go to jail.
Give me the keys to your house, or I'll charge you with murder. I'm the DA. I can do it. Give me $10,000, or I'll tell the feds about that shipment of heroin I saw you pick up at JFK. I'm the DA. They'll listen. What would you do? I can tell you what I'll be doing for the next 10 years or so. I'll be in Attica. Because what I did is called extortion, and it's a felony. Sleep with me, or I'll tell your boss that you're under indictment for fraud. It's not true, but do you really think you'll be working next week? Sarah Maslin worked for 8 years. She was the best, the most productive associate in her firm. She had clearly earned a partnership, but the only way that she could get it was to have sex with a man who had the power to make or break her career. Sarah Maslin laid down on that couch for Mr. Talbot. But can any of us say that she really had a choice?
Gun makers are among the most heavily regulated groups in this country, with an army of people watching over them. But despite all that, this fell through the cracks. 15 people were killed. Now, Mr. McCoy wants you to believe there's a straight line between their shattered bodies and my client's factory. There isn't. There's just Dennis Trope. He was the one who broke the law when he bought the gun, modified it, and fired it into that crowd. Horrifyingly simple. So, why doesn't Mr. McCoy get it? Responsible gun ownership is an American tradition, protected by the Constitution, but many people would like to get rid of guns. Well, we all know Cain didn't need a gun to kill his brother. As long as there are Dennis Tropes in this world, they will find a way to kill innocent people, whether it's with a gun or a few hundred pounds of fertilizer. But you can't blame the fertilizer company any more than the gun maker for that. You put the blame where it belongs. That's another American tradition.
Gun ownership is not an American tradition. That's a myth, like George Washington's cherry tree. Most Americans, going back to colonial times, did not own a gun, didn't even know how to shoot one. That's still true today. You heard expert testimony that redesigning the slide bolt of a Ralph 9 would add $27.64 to the manufacturing cost of a weapon that sells for $900. Mr. Weber knew that his gun was being bought for the purpose of being converted to an automatic weapon. His refusal to change the design is tantamount to admitting that its intended use was as an automatic weapon. Reasonable people can disagree about the Second Amendment. But this can't be what the framers of the Constitution had in mind. Of course, you must hold Dennis Trope responsible. He pulled the trigger. But remember, because of Mr. Weber's refusal to change the design of his gun, instead of firing this many bullets in the 30 seconds that he pulled the trigger, Dennis Trope was able to fire this many.
The law says negligence and foolishness aren't willful blindness. Mr. McCoy has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt my client deliberately avoided the truth about the people he was dealing with. But my client did exactly what the Money Laundering Act required of him. No more, no less. In our society, it's not supposed to be a crime to follow the rules. That's what my client did. He followed the rules.
Following the rules does not put you above the law. Just ask the Swiss bankers who appropriated the unclaimed accounts of Holocaust victims. Following the rules does not explain how someone who runs a bank could be so incompetent, so gullible. There can be only one explanation. Mr. Radford willingly turned a blind eye to what was obviously a criminal enterprise, and the Russian mob didn't have to cut off his uncle's hands to get him to do it. All they had to do was wave a fat commission in front of him. Now, some might think that money laundering is just some white-collar crime far removed from our everyday concerns. Let me remind you what money laundering is really about. Mr. Radford made his commission on the backs of these people. This country has always been a beacon to the world for liberty and justice. That's why we keep our borders open. But we're also a beacon for another kind of people, for criminals and con men. We rely on the law to protect us from them. Sometimes that's not enough. Do we need more law, less freedom? Do we cross out parts of the Constitution? I've learned that's not the answer. The answer is that each one of us is responsible to everyone else. Not one of us can afford to turn a blind eye. By respecting the laws we do have, by living up to the true meaning of the word citizen, we preserve our common good. Through his deliberate ignorance, Mr. Radford allowed a criminal enterprise to flourish. Innocent people to be killed. He allowed a cancer to grow. This is where it has to stop. Here in this courtroom. With you.
Mr. McCoy wants you to put your brains on autopilot to blindly accept that, of course, Ken Taylor had a bad temper. Of course, Julie was breaking up with him. Of course, she landed at LaGuardia. Of course, he killed her and dumped her body in his barn. Of course. Of course. Mr. McCoy doesn't want you to concern yourself with another perfectly reasonable theory, that it was Cecilia Knowles who was jealous of Julie Gorham, who killed her, took her place on the plane, took the sailbag from the boat, and buried her in Mr. Taylor's barn. And Cecilia did this because she was obsessed with my client. She wanted to possess him, control him. Where's the proof? I wanted you to hear what she told her therapist, but Mr. McCoy had those records suppressed.
Objection. Facts not in evidence.
Mr. Garnett, you've made your point. Move on.
Cecilia Knowles set out to frame my client, and it worked. She fooled Mr. McCoy. He's as much a victim of her machinations as my client.
Your Honor.
It's summation, Mr. McCoy. He's allowed to argue his case. Go on.
Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't the first time Mr. McCoy has been fooled by Cecilia Knowles. He doesn't want you to know, but she's done this before.
Objection. Facts not in evidence.
Sustained. Wrap it up, Mr. Garnett.
That's not good enough. Sidebar, Your Honor.
Denied. Mr. Garnett?
He's bringing up facts not adduced at trial. I want, Your Honor, to instruct the jury to...
Sit down, Mr. McCoy.
Your Honor made rulings. The people relied on them. I want his summation stricken from the record.
I'll do no such thing.
Your Honor, you're leaving us with no remedy. If you won't uphold your own rulings...
Be quiet, Mr. McCoy. Now sit down.
So, even if you don't believe Cecilia Knowles killed her own sister, you must admit it's possible she did. And that's reasonable doubt.
Cecilia Knowles isn't here today because, as you know, she's in a coma. You haven't been told why she's in a coma. Mr. Garnett alluded to the reason. I'm going to tell you why.
Objection.
She did it in a desperate, crazed attempt
Sustained.
to call attention to the fact that Mr. Taylor had gotten away with the murder of her sister.
I said sustained, Mr. McCoy.
She was so convinced of his guilt, she was ready to put herself in jeopardy to see this vicious killer brought to trial.
Mr. McCoy.
While she lies in a hospital bed, this court has seen fit to allow the defense to speculate about her state of mind.
That's enough.
And hold her up as a patsy for Mr. Taylor. And since this court doesn't have the guts to protect the rights of the weak and voiceless,
You're in contempt, Mr. McCoy.
it's for the jury to see justice done. And justice, in this case, is holding Ken Taylor, and only Ken Taylor, responsible for the death of Julie Gorham.
That's it. I am declaring an immediate mistrial.
Oh, Your Honor.
Sit down, Mr. Garnett. You opened the door for this. Ladies and gentlemen, you are dismissed. With my apologies on behalf of counsel. We're adjourned.
Congress shall pass no law abridging the freedom of speech. Pass no law. Mr. McCoy is trying to get around the Constitution by calling what my client said conduct. By Mr. McCoy's definition, any kind of communication involves conduct, except maybe ESP. He claims my client commanded Mr. Harland and the others to kill Christina Osborne. Well, he must have commanded them using ESP. You have heard witness after witness testify that Mr. Willis never told them to kill or harm Miss Osborne. All Mr. McCoy has are my client's speeches. Obnoxious, vile, racist, hate-filled speeches. And since those speeches did not cause a clear and present danger of imminent criminal action, you must, in good conscience, acquit my client.
Of course, Mr. Willis never said kill Christina Osborne. Adolf Hitler never said kill this Jew or that Jew. But there's no doubting his intent, nor the result of what he did say. The defense paraphrased Supreme Court Justices Holmes and Brandeis. I think you should hear what they actually wrote in 1927. No danger flowing from speech can be deemed clear and present unless the incidence of the evil apprehended is so imminent that it may befall before there is opportunity for full discussion. If there be time to expose the evil by the processes of education. When we talk about free speech, we mean the exchange of ideas, dialogue, full discussion. Where was the opportunity for discussion in Mr. Willis's world? He handpicked unstable young people. He told them to associate only with those who thought the way they did. And then he filled their heads with suspicion, paranoia, hate, and violence. Prepare for war, destroy traitors, violence is necessary. Hate Jews, African Americans, gay people. Hate is your friend, embrace it. And he expects us to believe that he didn't intend them to be violent? That he couldn't foresee somebody might get killed? Who's he kidding? The First Amendment protects words that persuade. It doesn't protect words that incite. That's what Mr. Willis did. That's why it's called murder.